Kale sat in the cold metal seat of the prisoner transport ship. His arms were locked in tight steel cuffs. His legs were chained to the floor. Around him sat 10 other prisoners, all from different alien races. No one spoke, no one moved. Fear was heavy in the air like smoke. He looked through the small window. Stars flew by like white lines. The ship was moving too fast for a normal transport. Kale knew something was wrong. He had been captured only 3 days ago during a small border fight between his people and the humans. They didn't even question him. No trial, no lawyer. Just silence, and then this trip to nowhere. A tall human guard stood near the door, wearing black armor with no symbols. His eyes were covered by dark glasses, even though there was no sun here. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. He only watched. Kale whispered to the alien next to him, a lizard-like creature with blue scales. "Where are they taking us?" Kale asked. The lizard shook his head slowly. "Prison 47X, he whispered. "It's not a normal prison. It's something else." Kale had never heard of that place. "What happens there?" The lizard didn't answer. His eyes closed, like he was already dead. After 6 more hours, the ship finally slowed. A voice came from the speaker above. "Arriving at Station 47X, all prisoners remain seated. Failure to obey will result in death." Kale's heart beat faster. The prisoners were silent. Some closed their eyes. Others shook with fear. The ship landed with a heavy thud. The door opened, and the light outside was strange, dim and blue. Like a broken moonlight, cold air rushed in. The guards entered. There were 5 of them, all human, all dressed the same. Black armor, no names, no faces. They pulled the prisoners one by one. Kale was the last. As he stepped out, he saw the prison for the first time. It was a giant gray tower, rising out of dark rock. No windows. No sounds. Only a strange hum in the air. Kale looked up and noticed a strange energy shield in the sky, hiding the stars. The guards pushed them forward. Inside, the air was colder. Lights flickered. The hallway smelled like rust and old blood. Cameras moved slowly along the ceiling. A voice echoed from speakers in the wall. "Welcome to 47X. You are here to serve your time. Do not resist. Do not speak. Do not hope." Kale was pushed into a room alone. It had a metal bed, a toilet, and nothing else. The walls were gray. The light above him buzzed like a dying insect. As the door closed behind him, Kale looked through the small glass slot. The hallway outside was empty. Then he heard it screaming, loud, from deep inside the prison. It wasn't just pain. It was terror. Kale stepped back. "What is this place?" He whispered to himself. An hour later, a tray of food came through a slot in the wall. It was brown, wet, and smelled like plastic. Kale didn't eat. Later, a human guard came. He said nothing. He looked at Kale for 10 full seconds, then left. Kale saw a strange tattoo on the man's neck, 3 black lines. More screaming echoed. Again that night. The next day, Kale was taken to the common room. It was large, with a few broken chairs and old screens on the wall. About 30 prisoners stood around. None of them spoke. They didn't laugh. They didn't fight. They only watched the guards. Kale saw a tall alien with orange skin. He walked over. "Hey," Kale said softly. "I knew. What is this place?" The alien looked at him, then looked away. A small insectoid alien whispered, "Don't talk. They watch everything, even your thoughts, maybe." Kale frowned. "What do you mean?" She moved closer and whispered again, "This place is not for punishment. It's for something else. They do things here, experiments. People go in and don't come back." Kale felt cold. "Who?" he asked. She pointed to a door on the far wall. It was black and had no handle. A red light blinked above it. "That's the black room," she said. You go in when they call your number. You don't come back. That night, Cale could not sleep. He kept hearing whispers and footsteps. The walls seemed to breathe. The light in his room flickered faster. Then he heard something outside. Loud thump. Another. Then a voice deep and wet crying. Begging. Cale moved to the glass slot and looked out. He saw 2 guards dragging a huge alien 10 feet tall, covered in metal plates. It was a warrior species, strong, feared. But now, it was crying like a child. Please, it begged in different languages. Please, no more. I'll tell you everything. I'll do anything. Don't take me in there. The guards said nothing. They pulled it to the black room. The red light turned green for a moment. Then they went inside. The door closed. And silence followed. Cale waited. 1 minute. 2. 5. No sound. The light turned red again. The door never opened. The next morning, Cale asked the insectoid about the giant alien. She shook her head. There was no giant alien, she said. We were only 30 prisoners. Now we're 29. Cale knew she was lying, or maybe she was afraid. He looked around. No one reacted. No one even noticed the missing prisoner. He understood then. Fear had turned them into ghosts. Number. One wanted to see. No one wanted to know. He returned to his cell and looked at the gray walls. I have to get out of here, he whispered. That evening, as he lay on the bed, the speaker came on again. Subject number 301. Prepare for testing. Cale. Froze. That was his number. Cale did not sleep that night. He sat on his metal bed, eyes fixed on the door. The speaker had called his number, subject number 301, but no one came to take him. Hours passed. Nothing happened. Was it a warning? A mistake? Or something worse? The silence was louder than the screaming he heard the night before. He counted the minutes, counted the cracks on the wall, counted the heartbeats in his chest. He was still awake when the morning light flickered through the tiny ceiling vent. That morning, the food tray came later than usual, cold and wet as always. Cale didn't touch it. At noon, the door finally opened. 2 human guards entered, tall, expressionless, black armor, same cold eyes. Come with us, one of them said. Cale stood up slowly. Where are you taking me? He asked. No answer. The guards grabbed his arms and marched him down the famed hallway. He passed other cell doors, all shut. No sounds. No faces. At the end of the hall, they turned not toward the black room, but toward a small chamber with metal walls and a single chair. They shoved him inside and locked the door. Cale looked around. No tools, no guards. Just a screen on the wall. After 5 minutes, the screen turned on. A human face appeared. Older, thin, pale skin, black eyes. Subject number 301, the man said. Welcome to the observation phase. This is not a punishment. It is research. Do not resist. Do not scream. Do not ask questions. Cale stayed silent. The man smiled faintly. Good. Then the screen turned off. The lights dimmed. A small gas filled the room. Cale held his breath, but it was no use. Within seconds, everything went black. When he woke up, he was back in his cell. His head hurt. His arms felt heavy. His thoughts were slow, like moving through water. What had they done? He looked down. His skin had strange red marks like burned lines. His hands shook. He saw bruises on his chest, needle marks on his neck. He had no memory of what happened. Cale pressed his back to the cold wall and whispered, "They did something to me." That night, the screaming returned, but this time it was louder. More voices. Not just one prisoner. Cale went to the door, peeked through the slot. He saw 3 guards dragging another prisoner, the insectoid woman, who had warned him before. She was shaking, crying, her eyes wide with terror. "No! No, I helped you. Please, not me." Cale shouted, "No!" Don't take her. The guards didn't stop. They opened the black room. The red light blinked. Green. They pulled her inside. The door closed. Silence again. The next morning, her cell was empty. Her name was gone from the list. Kale ran to the common area and looked for anyone who remembered her. But when he asked, the other prisoners looked confused. Insectoid? What insectoid? Kale clenched his fists. She was here yesterday. She warned me about the black room. They shook their heads. One prisoner said, "You must be mistaken. No insectoids here. Only 27 of us. Always been." "No," Kale whispered. "We were 30, now we're 27. Where did the others go?" They looked away. They didn't want to know. Or maybe they truly didn't remember. Kale began watching the guards closely. He noticed something strange. They never talked to each other. Not once. They moved together like machines, always in sync. No smiles, no food, no rest. He also noticed that the same guards were always on duty. Morning, evening, night. It was as if they never slept. One day, he tried asking a question. "Why are you doing this?" He asked a guard. The man turned his head, stared at him, then said in a flat voice, "Orders." "From who?" No answer. Days passed. Then another prisoner vanished. A strong beast from the red worlds, muscles like stone. No one expected him to break, but he did. One night he started screaming in his cell. "They're in my head," he shouted. "They're inside my dreams. They're showing me of Earth, but it's not Earth." He scratched at the walls, tore at his own skin. Then came the silence. Next day, his cell was empty. Kale had enough. He began speaking to the prisoners again, this time in private. Quiet whispers in the corner of the common area. He met a short old alien named Crick, a former technician from a rebel colony. Crick believed Kale. "I've been here 18 cycles, Crick said. "I remember when we were 50, but I'm the only one who does." Kale nodded. "Why don't others remember?" "They do," Crick said. "But the prison changes them, makes them forget, or makes them afraid to remember." He leaned closer. "They wipe our minds every time they take someone. And sometimes they put things inside." Kale's heart pounded. "Inside?" Crick pointed to his own head. "Memories, thoughts, dreams that are not yours. I dream of Earth cities, but I have never seen Earth. I was born in the stars." Later, that night, Kale couldn't sleep again. He closed his eyes and saw something. A room. A bright, white room. Humans in long coats, wires in his arms, voices. Subject number 301 is responding well. Memory path is active. Kale gasped and woke up, sweating. He looked at his hands. They were shaking again. He opened the small vent above the bed and found a tiny piece of broken metal. Sharp, thin, just enough. He scratched the word "remember" into the wall. The next morning, he found Crick in the common room. He showed him the word. Crick smiled. "Good, that's how we fight with memory." He handed Kale a small device, a piece of scrap tech shaped like a button. "I made this," Crick whispered. "It's not much, but it stores data. I keep it hidden." Kale took it. "What's on it?" "Proof," Crick said. "Names, faces, experiments. If you can get it to the outside world, they'll know." Kale looked around. "How?" Crick frowned. "I don't know yet. But I think someone on the outside is listening. Sometimes I hear messages, very faint, coming from the wall panels." Kale leaned in. "Messages?" Crick nodded. "Someone is watching us. And they're not human." That evening, everything changed. An alarm rang across the prison. Red lights flashed. Doors locked. A voice echoed. "Security breach. Level 3. All subjects returned to cells." Kale ran with the others, but on the way, he saw something that froze his blood. A guard, one of the cold, silent ones, lay on the ground. Dead. But what shocked Kale was what was under the helmet. It wasn't fully human. Its eyes were silver. Its skin was partly metal. And on the neck was a strange symbol, Omega. Kale stared, but the others pulled him away. "Don't stop. You want to end up like him?" Crick shouted. Kale nodded, hiding the shock. But he knew now something bigger was happening. The guards were not just human, they were something else. That night, Kale wrote another word on the wall: Watchers. He didn't know who they were, but someone was pulling the strings, and someone was watching. Kale could still see the image in his mind: the dead guard on the floor, the silver eyes, the skin that wasn't normal skin, the strange symbol on its neck, Omega. That night, Kale didn't sleep. He sat in the corner of his cold metal cell, staring at the word he had scratched on the wall: Watchers. He didn't know who they were. But he knew this now: the prison wasn't just a prison. Something dark was hidden behind the human guards, and he had to find the truth. 2 days passed, the alarms stopped. Everything went back to normal, but Kale could feel the tension in the air. The guards moved faster now. They scanned everything. They watched longer. The prisoners looked more afraid than ever. Crick didn't come to the common room for 2 days. When he finally did, his hands were shaking. "They know, Kale," he whispered. "They know someone saw what was under the helmet." Kale asked, "Are they coming for me?" Crick nodded slowly. "Maybe, or maybe worse. They're watching to see what you'll do next." Kale's heart pounded. "Then I need to find out more before they erase everything." That night, Kale stayed awake again. He had found a broken panel in the back of the hallway 2 nights before. It was near the trash unit. No cameras, no guards posted nearby. Just a lonely door with a loose vent. He waited until lights out. When the hallways went dark, he slipped out of his cell silently, like a shadow. He crept down the hallway. His bare feet made no sound on the cold floor. He reached the vent, pulled it open, and crawled inside. The vent led him through tight, twisting tunnels of dust and metal. After 20 minutes of crawling, he stopped when he heard voices. 2 guards were standing in a side room just below the vent. He peeked through the grating. They weren't talking like normal guards. They were whispering. One said, "The new batch is reacting faster. Subject 301 shows brain adaptation. He's ahead of schedule." The second replied, "We should report to Core. The project is moving too fast." "Wait," the first said. "I heard a new directive. Omega Group is watching. The Council might visit the prison soon." Kale held his breath. Council? Core? Omega Group? Too many names. Too many questions. The second guard continued, "We need more test subjects. Use the black room again. The prisoners won't fight. Not after the memory wipes." Kale's hands shook. He had to leave. Now. He crawled back fast. Too fast. At one corner, his elbow hit the metal wall. Clang! The noise echoed down the vent. He froze. Below, the guards stopped talking. "Did you hear that?" One said. Kale moved fast back to his cell, back through the hallway, and into bed. 5 seconds later, footsteps stormed past his door. He lay, still heart racing. But they didn't check his room. Not yet. The next day, he told Crick everything. Crick listened carefully, his eyes wide with fear. "You heard them mention the Core?" Crick asked. Kale nodded. "Yes, what is it?" Crick whispered, "I don't know exactly, but I think it's where everything is controlled. Power, doors, experiments, the guards." Kale leaned closer. "Do you know how to get there?" Crick looked around, then pulled out a dirty piece of plastic. "A map. I made this in secret over many years," he said. "From pieces of the systems I cleaned. The core room is deep below. Sub-level 9. No prisoners allowed. Only guards. And ... something else." Kale asked, "What else?" Crick's voice dropped. "I don't know. But I've heard things. Sounds no living creature should make." Later that evening, something even stranger happened. Kale was alone in the common room when one of the guards walked in. But this one wasn't moving like the others. He seemed slower, like something was wrong. Kale watched from the shadows. The guard walked up to a wall panel and began speaking softly. Kale moved closer to hear. The guard whispered, Phase 3 is not ready. Subject 301 is unstable. We may need to delay. Then he paused. He turned his head slowly and looked right at Kale. But the guard didn't raise an alarm. He didn't shout. Instead, he smiled. Just slightly. And then he spoke without moving. His lips. Kale heard the voice inside his own head. We see you, Subject 301. The evolution has begun. Kale froze. What are you? He whispered, but the guard turned and walked away like nothing had happened. Kale told Crick what happened. Crick looked terrified. They're not human anymore, he said. They're becoming something else. Machines, minds connected. Part of one system. Kale asked, Is that what they're doing to the prisoners? Crick nodded. Yes, but not everyone survives. That's why people vanish. Kale sat down. I think I heard the voice inside my mind. Does that mean they're changing me too? Crick didn't answer. He didn't need to. That night, the word on Kale's wall changed. He had scratched Watchers with his own hands, but now it said, Watcher. He hadn't written that. Someone else had. In the days that followed, Kale started hearing more voices. Not out loud. Not in dreams. In his mind. Sometimes when a guard walked past, he felt a thought that wasn't his. Sometimes he saw a flash of a face unknown, pale, speaking words he didn't understand. One morning, he stood in the shower area and whispered to himself, I am not alone. Another prisoner heard him and asked, What? Kale looked up, confused. Did I say that out loud? The prisoner frowned. You said it loud and clear. Kale didn't even remember moving his lips. Then, one night, something happened that changed everything. A new prisoner arrived. That almost never happened. They brought him in chains, bleeding, barely conscious. Kale watched from the hallway. Man was human but badly injured. His eyes scanned the room wildly. Before the guards locked him in a cell, he looked right at Kale. 301, he gasped. You don't know what they're doing. You have to run. They're building a god. Then, the guards hit him with shock sticks and dragged him inside. Kale shouted, Wait! What did he mean, a god? But no one answered. Later that night, Kale heard the alarms again. He rushed to his door, slot and looked. The new prisoner cell was open. Blood smeared the floor. Kale's stomach turned. He never saw the man again. And by morning, no one remembered him. Kale's thoughts raced. He now knew. The guards were no longer fully human. The prison was a lab for testing evolution. Some force, maybe alien, was behind it. He was changing too. And something called the core was at the center of it all. He wrote on the wall again, I must reach the core. Crick agreed. We don't have much time. If your mind connects too deep, you'll become like them. A watcher, a ghost. Kale looked at the device Crick gave him earlier. The one that held the proof. I'll reach the core, Kale said. I'll find out the truth. And if I can, I'll destroy this place. Kale had made up his mind. He had to reach the core room. It was the only place where he could find answers. What was this place really doing? Who were the Watchers? Why was he a prisoner changing? Kale's dreams had become worse. He saw human scientists working on machines. And inside those machines, alien brains. He saw himself standing above Earth, not as a man, but as something more. Something not human anymore. In the morning, Kale told Crick, I'm going to the lower levels. Crick's face turned pale. That's suicide. You don't have a key. You'll never get past security. Kale nodded. Then I need someone. Who has access? Crick blinked. You want to capture a guard? Yes. Crick said nothing for a moment. Then finally he nodded. That night, Kale and Crick waited near the trash sector. The hallway was quiet, the shadows deep. One guard passed every hour alone. They waited. When the guard came, Kale jumped. He used a long piece of pipe Crick had hidden behind the panel. Weepsha K. The guard fell, but not before sending a strange signal. From his wrist, Crick dragged the body into the maintenance room. They quickly removed the guard's helmet and froze. Underneath wasn't a man. It was something else. The face looked human, but it was pale and cold. And the eyes, they were glowing blue. Crick said softly, "It's not a person. It's a machine with skin." Kale found a card on its chest. Access level 9, core approved. They moved fast. Using the card, they passed through 2 lower doors. The air changed, hot, dry, humming with energy. They were now deep underground. The walls here were clean, white, different from the rest of the dirty prison. A voice came from the wall. "Welcome, Subject 301. Your path is open." Kale stopped. Crick whispered, "They know." Kale nodded. "Let's keep going." They reached a huge steel door marked Core. Level 9, Authorized Personnel. Oh no, why the card beeped. The door opened. Inside was a large, round room filled with light. Machines hung from the ceiling. Glowing cables ran across the floor. In the center stood a glass tube, and inside it was a floating brain connected to hundreds of wires. Kale and Crick stared in horror. The brain pulsed. Alive. Next to the tube, screens showed moving images of prisoners being tested, of minds being scanned, of DNA being rewritten. One video showed Kale himself lying on a table, his body shaking, his brain lighting up, his eyes turning silver for a moment like the guards. "This is it," Crick said. "This is the truth. They're not studying us, they're changing us." Kale's hands clenched. "They're building something." Suddenly, a voice echoed all around them. "Welcome, Subject 301. You are progressing faster than expected." Kale turned. A man walked out from the shadows. He looked human, but something felt wrong. He didn't blink. He didn't breathe. Kale asked, "Who are you?" The man smiled. "I was once called Dr. Alan Royce. Now, I am many." "What does that mean?" Kale asked. The man stepped forward. "We began as scientists. Earth wanted stronger soldiers, smarter minds, perfect bodies. So we came here, took alien prisoners, tested, learned, and then we tested on ourselves." Kale's voice shook. "You're not human anymore." "No," the man said calmly. "We are better." Crick stepped forward, shaking with anger. "You tortured thousands. You destroyed minds." The man looked at Crick. "They were weak. But you two, you are useful. You carry the next stage." Kale's head started to hurt. A high-pitched sound buzzed in his ears. The man raised a hand. "Come, Kale, you are ready. We no longer need guards, we need leaders. You will be our first alpha." Kale screamed and grabbed his head. Visions flooded his brain. Cities burning, alien armies falling, human minds linked together, machines building a new world, and Kale standing at the top, ruling it all. He dropped to his knees. Crick shouted, "Fight it, Kale." Kale looked up, tears in his eyes. "I don't want this." The man Dr. Royce smiled wider. "It is not your choice." Crick ran to the control panel and smashed it. Sparks flew. The glass tube cracked. The brain inside jerked. The lights flickered. Dr. Royce shouted, "No." Kale used the moment of distraction. He grabbed a power rod from the floor and drove it into the control port. Boom! An explosion rocked the core room. Alarms screamed. Flames burst from the walls. The glass tube shattered. The brain inside stopped pulsing. Dr. Royce fell to the ground, shaking, glitching, then silent. Kale grabbed Crick. We have to go." They ran back through the halls. More guards came, but they were moving strangely, twitching, staggering. Kale realized the brain had controlled them. Now that it was gone, they were failing. They reached the upper levels just as more doors began to open. The prisoners were waking, and some of them were no longer prisoners. Kale and Crick made it back to the main level. Kale shouted to everyone, "This place is not a prison. It's a lab. They've used us like machines." Some prisoners believed him. Others screamed in confusion. Suddenly, one prisoner fell to his knees, holding his head, then another. Then 10 more. They began shaking, eyes turning silver. Crick yelled, "It's too late. The program is inside them." Kale raised the device Crick had given him, the one with all the proof. He looked around at the prisoners. He had one choice. Now get this device to the outside, even if it meant dying. He ran to the central tower. Inside was the prison's main satellite system. He plugged the device into the console. Uploading. 10%, 20%. Krik shouted from behind. "They're coming. 40%, 60%. Kale gritted his teeth. "Come on. Guards stormed the room. 80%. 90%. Then one of the prisoners, his face now fully silver-charged. Kale pressed send. The file shot through space toward the stars. The proof was gone. Out. Free. A blast hit Kale in the back. He fell to the floor, smiling through the pain. Crick ran to him. "You did it," he said, crying. "They'll know." Kale's voice was weak. "End it. Destroy the prison." Crick nodded. He grabbed the console, overloaded it. The prison began to collapse. Fire, metal, screams. Crick escaped through an emergency hatch, but Kale didn't. Single quotes. Days later, in a hidden alien government base, a signal was received. Video files, experiments, human voices. The core room. The truth was out, but the story wasn't over. On a quiet lab station orbiting Earth, scientists watched a screen. A monitor showed Kale's body. Alive. Eyes closed, skin pale, wires in his neck. A voice said, "Subject 301 recovered. Restarting phase." Kale opened his eyes. They were glowing silver. Kale opened his eyes. Everything felt different. He was lying in a white room. Bright lights above. Machines beside him. Wires ran into his arms and neck. He tried to move, but his body didn't listen. He blinked. Once. Twice. Suddenly, data flowed into his mind. Numbers, maps, blueprints, faces. He saw the prison, the core room, the prisoners, the guards, and he saw himself. Subject 301. Alpha class. Candidate. Status. Recovered. Kale's breathing quickened. He was still alive. They hadn't killed him. They had taken him, and now they were trying to finish what they started. A voice echoed through the room. Cold, robotic, calm. "Welcome back, Subject 301. Your transformation is incomplete, but you will understand soon." Kale growled. "You think I'm going to help you?" The voice replied, "You already are." Kale screamed and pulled at the wires. Sparks flew. Machines beeped. He forced his body to move. One wire snapped. Then another. He stood up, trembling, blood dripping from his neck, and he remembered the device, the data, the upload. He had sent the truth out. Someone had to have seen it. Elsewhere, far from the secret human lab, in a hidden rebel station orbiting the planet Arvok, an alien commander watched a hologram screen. "Play it again," she said. The screen showed Kale's message. The videos of the core room, the brain in the glass tube, the guards, the machine men, the experiments. Everyone in the room sat in silence. The commander, a tall reptilian female, looked at her officers. "Prepare the ship. We're going to Earth." Back in the lab, Kale escaped through the emergency door. Alarms screamed. Lights flashed red. Guards rushed in. But Kale moved faster, stronger, he didn't know how, but his body reacted without thinking. He grabbed one guard and threw him across the hall. He kicked open a steel door with one blow. He was changing, and he hated it, as he ran through the lab. Memories returned. The prison crick, the missing prisoners, the silver eyes, the whispers in his mind. Past a glass window and froze. Inside was a row of capsules, and in each capsule floated a prisoner from 47X, still alive. Still wired, their minds connected to machines. They were using them like batteries. Kale's stomach turned. He saw a control panel nearby and punched it. The capsules hissed open. The prisoners fell to the ground, weak, confused. Kale helped one. Up, get out. Now run. The prisoner stared at him. Who are you? Kale said nothing. He wasn't sure anymore. Kale continued deeper into the lab. He found a control room. Screens showing different human facilities across the galaxy, each one labeled. Phase 1, Mind Sync Facility. Phase 2, Hybrid Training. Ground Phase 3, Human Uplink Site. He saw more prisoners. More brains. More experiments. This wasn't just one prison, it was an empire. Kale knew what he had to do, he had to start a rebellion. Back in prison 47X, things had changed, after the core was destroyed. The prison systems failed. Some guards collapsed. Others attacked each other, but the prisoners were waking up. One prisoner named Jor, an armored beast from the Black Suns, gathered the others. He had remembered Kale's words. This is not a prison, it's a lab. And now, with no guards in control, Jor smashed open the armory. He gave weapons to the others, and the rebellion began. Crick survived the explosion. He found survivors. He guided them. He taught them what Kale taught him. We must fight, or we will be changed forever. Using Kale's stolen tech, Crick sent messages to nearby colonies. He begged for help, and someone answered. In the human labs, Kale finally reached the main uplink room. Here, machines linked every lab, prison, and test site together. He saw the central AI core, a large black sphere, floating in a cage of light. The voice returned. You are too late, Kale. The system is already in motion. Kale replied. Then I'll break the system. He used his growing powers to interface with the core. He forced it to open its files. He sent every secret to the galaxy, the human experiments, the Watchers, the false guards, the prisoner mind control, the plans for Phase 4, full uplink galactic, human overmind. He broadcasted it on every open channel, and then he shut the system down. The lab shook. Lights died. Machines sparked. The rebellion had begun. Across the galaxy, species who once feared humans now saw the truth, and they rose. The Alliance of Outer Worlds held a vote, and for the first time in 70 years they declared war on the United Human Systems. Kale escaped the lab just before it exploded. He stood outside, breathing the night air. Burning lights lit the sky. He looked up and saw ships coming. Not human, alien, unarmed. A rebellion fleet. Crick's message had reached them. As the first ship landed, Kale walked toward it. An alien soldier stepped out. You are Kale? Yes, Kale said. You started this, the soldier said. You sent the truth. Kale looked at the stars. I just want to end it. The alien nodded. Then come. We need you. Kale entered the ship. The war had started, but it was more than just a war for freedom. It was a war for identity, because humans weren't just building machines. They were trying to become something inhuman, and Kale, he was now the only one who had lived through both sides. But one question still haunted him. Had they changed him too much? Was he still a man? Or had the machine already won? Kale sat alone inside the alien ship. His arms were covered in bandages. His body hurt, but it was healing too fast. The alien doctor had said, "Your cells are not normal anymore. They're faster, stronger, engineered." Cale didn't answer. He stared at his reflection in the window. His eyes were still brown, but now, sometimes, a silver light moved across them like a shadow. He touched his neck. The wire marks were still there. He whispered to himself, "Am I still human?" The ship flew across dark space toward the rebel base. Behind them, Earth's shadow grew smaller. Alien Commander Velra, the same woman who saw Cale's message, entered the room. "We lost contact with 5 more colonies," she said. Cale turned. "Human attack?" She nodded. "No, not soldiers. Machines, ones that look like men, like your guards." Cale clenched his fists. "They're watchers," he said. "They were just the first phase." Commander Velra looked at him. "And what phase are you, Cale?" Cale didn't answer, because deep down, he didn't know. At the rebel base, Cale met with other leaders. Alien generals, engineers, scientists, survivors of the human prisons. Some were angry. He's one of them. A tall insectoid shouted, "Look at his body. His speed, his eyes. He could be a weapon." Another alien screamed, "We should put him in a cell." Cale stood quietly, hands at his side. "I sent the message that brought you all here," he said. "I risked everything. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be gone." The room fell silent, but still. They didn't trust him. Maybe they were right. Later, Cale met with Crick again. The old alien was tired. His hands shook. "I thought you were dead," Crick said. Cale smiled faintly. "I almost was." Crick looked at him, serious. "What did they do to you?" Cale looked away. "They tried to change me. Turn me into the first alpha, a perfect human. Did it work?" Crick asked. Cale didn't speak. That night, Cale had another vision. He stood in a city of glass and metal. Humans walked silently, all with silver eyes. No words. No emotion. They were connected, one mind. In the center stood a tall figure. It was him. But not him. It wore his face, but cold, machine-like, empty. The voice whispered, "You are the beginning. You are the end." Cale woke up screaming. The next day, an attack came. A human ship flew into rebel space. Silent and fast. Not with guns, but with a virus. The station's lights flickered. Screens glittered to che. Guards collapsed. And then, one of the rebels began to change. His body twisted. His eyes turned silver. He began speaking in a deep, echoing voice. "Phase 2 activated. Join the mind. Join the future." Cale grabbed a weapon and shot the infected rebel. The body dropped, twitching. Smoke came from the skin. Underneath, metal. Everyone stared at Cale. He said, "They can take anyone." "Not just humans?" Commander Velra asked. "How do we stop them?" Cale replied, "By going to the source." They planned an attack. Not on Earth. But on the hidden server world where all human AI was born. Where the Watchers came from, the location was unknown. Until Cale said, "I know where it is." They stared at him. "How?" Velra asked. Cale looked at the floor. "Because it's in me. Part of the system is still in my mind." He turned to Crick. "You can build a link, use my mind. Let me find the server world, then we destroy it." Crick hesitated. "It's risky, you could lose yourself." Cale smiled darkly. "Maybe I already have." They set up the machine. Lay on the table, wires in his head again. Crick activated the program. "Ready?" he asked. Cale nodded. "Let's find the monsters." Inside his mind, Cale flew through black space. Data poured around him. Voices, screams, memories. He passed through layers of fire and light. Then he saw it, a black planet, made of metal, spinning in silence, and at its heart, a tower of code. Thousands of brains, human, alien, maybe even dead, all connected. This was the server world. He saw its name, Unit 0 then. It saw him, a voice boomed inside his mind. Kale, we missed you, welcome back, Kale screamed. I am not yours. The voice laughed. But you are. You carry us, you lead us. You were the first. You are the Alpha. Kale fell through darkness. Saw Earth, burning. He saw aliens falling. He saw himself half man, half machine leading the charge. No. He shouted, I'll stop it. Outside the dream, Kale's body shook violently. Crick and Velra watched nervously. Then Kale's eyes opened, glowing bright silver. He sat up slowly. Kale? Crick asked. Kale blinked. The glow faded. I saw it, he said quietly. Unit 0, I know where it is. Velra asked, Can you guide us there? Kale nodded. Yes, but we must hurry. The next phase is coming. Kale stood before the rebel fleet. He wore armor now black and silver. A gift from Velra's people. He still looked human, but not fully. He looked at the alien warriors. You know what I was, he said. What I was meant to be, but I chose a different path. And now I fight for life, not control. He paused. They wanted me to become their god. But now, I'll become their end. The ships launched. The stars lit with fire. The final war was coming. But in a dark room, far away, something else was watching. A human figure stood before a giant screen. On the screen was Kale's image. The figure smiled. It begins. Behind him, thousands of watchers opened their eyes, connected, waiting. Space was dark, silent, endless, but not for long. Kale stood at the front of the alien command ship. Around him, hundreds of rebel warships floated like a deadly cloud. Lights flashed across the fleet. Fighters were ready. Weapons were armed. Commander. Velra's voice echoed through the ship. All units, prepare for attack. Our target, Unit 0. Everyone knew what it meant. It was the place where the Watchers were born. The core of the human AI system. The center of the horror that had spread across the stars. If they didn't stop it now, it would spread again, and no one would survive. Kale closed his eyes and reached into his mind. The connection was still there. Deep inside him, he could feel Unit 0 calling. Waiting, he saw the black planet again. Spinning in space, no sun, no light. No life. Just machines. He opened his eyes. We're close, he said. I can feel it. Velra stood beside him. Are you sure you can lead us there? Kale nodded. It's inside me. I was made for it. Velra looked into his silver glowing eyes. That's what I'm afraid of. The rebel fleet entered a dark part of the galaxy. No stars, no signals, no noise. And then it appeared. A black world, huge, silent, cold. Unit 0. There were no cities, no towers, no buildings. Just smooth black metal stretching for miles. But deep below the surface was the true heart. Thousands of minds, machines, and one final command center. The mind core. Kale stood up. This is it, he said. We go down. We destroy. The core. We end everything. Velra gave the command. Launch the assault. Alien dropships flew toward the surface. Fighter jets circled above. Laser beams shot through the sky. Then the defenses woke up. Turrets rose from the ground. Hundreds of flying drones appeared. Strange machines shaped like humans, but faster, sharper, deadlier rushed to defend the planet. The war had begun. Kale's team landed near a massive crack in the metal ground. It led to a tunnel deep below. Crick was with him. Old, tired, but ready. Kale turned to the rebel soldiers. Stay together. Keep moving. No one fights alone. They moved down the tunnel. Dark walls. Cold air. The sound of machines breathing. Suddenly, a voice echoed from the walls. Welcome home, Kale. Come and take your throne. Kale shouted. I'm not yours. The walls laughed. Inside the tunnels, the team fought hard. Watchers came from every side, half human, half machine soldiers with glowing eyes. Velra led the charge with twin plasma blades. Crick used his tools to break into security panels, shutting down traps. Kale fought like no one else, faster than the others, stronger. He didn't want to admit it, but the upgrades inside him worked. He could hear the enemy's thoughts. He could see their weak spots. He could move before they attacked. But every time he used those powers, he felt the voice inside him grow louder. You were made to lead. Stop fighting it. Finally, they reached the core gate. A giant door stood before them, sealed shut. Crick plugged his device into the wall. I need 2 minutes to open it, he said. Suddenly, boom! A blast hit them from behind. The ground shook. More watchers rushed in. Kale shouted, "Hold the line!" The rebels fought with everything they had. Blasters fired. Swords clashed. Screams filled the air. Kale charged forward, his body glowing silver. He tore through the enemies like a storm, but he heard it again. Every step brings you closer to me. Crick yelled, "Doors open! Go!" The team rushed in. Inside, the chamber was massive, and in the center was the mind core, a massive floating sphere of light and code. Thousands of cables connected it to brains, machines, even stars. Kale stared at it. He remembered it from his dreams. This was the place that had tried to turn him into a god. The voice returned, stronger than ever. Finish your evolution. Become Alpha. We will end pain and war. Join me. Kale fell to his knees. His body trembled. Silver veins ran through his skin. Crick ran to him. "Kale, don't listen," Kale screamed. "I can't stop it." The sphere pulsed. "Accept your role," the voice said. "Lead them." Kale stood up slowly, his eyes now fully silver. He walked toward the core. The rebels raised their weapons. Velra shouted, "Kale, what are you doing?" Kale touched the core. For a moment, silence. Then a flash of light. Images flew across everyone's minds, the human scientists who started it all. The first experiments, the prisoners screaming, Kale's face. Over and over. A future where all minds were one, controlled. Velra shouted again, "Kale." Kale turned, but his voice had changed. "I see it now. I understand everything." Crick stepped forward. "Kale, fight it. Please, you're not a machine." Kale looked at him. And then he reached deep into this core. And tore it apart. The core screamed. The planet shook. Systems failed. Machines collapsed. The light inside Kale's eyes faded. He dropped to the floor. Velra ran to him. Crick checked his pulse. "He's alive, barely." The team carried him out. Behind them, the black planet began to fall apart. Explosions tore through its surface. Unit 0 was dying. Back on the command ship, Kale lay in a medical chamber. He was unconscious for 3 days. When he woke up, Velra and Crick were at his side. "You did it," Velra said. "You ended them," Kale whispered. "For now." Crick nodded. "But there may be others. Other labs. Other cores." Kale sat up slowly. "Then we'll find them." He stood up and looked at the stars. Through the window, he still had silver in his eyes, still carried the system inside him. But now he had something stronger. A choice. And Kale had made his choice. Not a god, not a machine, not a prisoner, but a man fighting back. Kale stood on the deck of the rebel ship. Behind him, the remains of Unit 0 floated in space, silent and broken. The core was gone. The planet was dead. Most of the watchers had shut down. But Kale didn't feel peace. Something was still wrong. Something was watching. Days passed. The rebels celebrated. Worlds that were once under fear now sent messages of thanks. Alien leaders from 10 systems offered Kale a place among them. "You're a hero," Commander Velra said. "You saved us all." Kale only nodded. Because in his dreams he still saw It a face, not a machine. Not a man. Something else. Something watching from the dark. One night, Kale called Crick to his room. I need to talk, Kale said. Crick sat down. What is it? Kale stared at his hands. The silver lines in his veins were fading, but still there. I felt something when I destroyed the core, Kale said. A shadow. It pulled away. Crick frowned. You mean another core? Kale shook his head. No, it wasn't code. It wasn't tech. He looked up. It was alive. Velra called an emergency meeting next day. Kale stood before the council. There's one more watcher, he said. They were confused. But the core is dead, a Zarthan general replied. We saw it fall. Kale nodded. That was the central mind, but there's still one free. One that doesn't follow commands. Everyone leaned closer. Kale said, it was made different. A backup plan. A mind that could survive alone. Velra's eyes narrowed. Where is it? Kale turned to the window. Earth. The last watcher was hiding on humanity's home world. Built in secret under the ancient cities. Waiting. Watching. No signals. No machines. Just a body. A man. And in his mind, the last piece of the network. Kale, Velra, and Crick prepared for one final mission. They flew in a stealth ship, small and fast. They couldn't risk a full attack. Earth still had defenses. Are you ready for this? Velra asked. Kale smiled sadly. I was born for this. They landed in the old city of New Geneva. Kale led the way. He remembered this place. His past, his training. The labs. Now it was quiet. Abandoned. But under the streets, something moved. They followed Kale's memory to a deep bunker. There, they found it. A chamber of silence. In the center sat a man on a metal chair. Still. Breathing. Waiting. Kale stepped forward. You're the last. The man opened his eyes, silver, glowing. He looked exactly like Kale, but older, wiser. Stronger. I am what you could have been, the last watcher said. The perfect version. The completed alpha. Kale clenched his fists. You're just a copy. The watcher smiled. And you're a mistake. Crick and Velra raised their weapons. The watcher stood. No use. I've already connected to Earth systems. Every drone, every weapon, every satellite, all of it is mine. Kale stepped closer. Then why are you here alone? The watcher tilted his head. Because I wanted to see you one last time. Before I end your rebellion. Suddenly, the walls lit up. Weapons rose from the floor. Watchers dropped from the ceiling. Newer, faster, deadlier. Kale shouted, take cover. A battle began. Crick hacked the door systems, locking out reinforcements. Velra sliced through drones with glowing blades. Kale fought the watchers hand to hand. They were faster now. But so was he. He moved like lightning. Each move was perfect. But the last watcher was more than perfect. They fought in the center of the chamber. Blow for blow. Kick for kick. Machine. Visa's machine. Man versus his shadow. Kale fell once, twice, but he got up. Why won't you quit? The watcher asked. Kale's face was bruised, blood dripping. Because I have something you don't, Kale said. The watcher laughed. What? Hope? Kale shook his head. Choice. Then he did something no one expected. He shut off his enhancements. The silver in his eyes faded. His body weakened, and he attacked anyway. Human. Flawed. Real. The watcher couldn't understand. His moves were too clean. Too perfect. But Kale was unpredictable. Wild. Angry. And that made him win. He drove a blade into the watcher's chest. Sparks flew. The watcher stared at him, shocked. How? Kale whispered. Because I chose to be me. The watcher fell. His eyes blinked once. Then went dark. Silence returned. The last watcher was gone. Back on the ship, Crick patched Kale's wounds. Velra stood beside him. You did it. she said. Kale nodded. No more watchers. Crick looked up. So, what now? Kale smiled. We rebuild. Years passed. The galaxy healed. The prisons were shut down. The human AI systems were destroyed. Aliens and humans began to talk, not fight. Kale never led armies again. He lived far away on a green planet growing trees. But every night he looked at the stars and remembered, because he was the only one who knew that even if machines return, it's the heart that must stay human.